because of Mr. Terupt. I'm going to give you an overview of what we already read, just because we were halfway through the book. Well, not even a fourth of the way through the book. So we're going to start over at the beginning again, and I will just read quickly through the chapters that we read, so that you remember what we had read. So September, our first chapter is on Peter. It's our bad luck to have teachers in the world, but since we're stuck with them, the best we can do is hope to get a brand new one instead of a mean old fart. New teachers don't know the rules, so you can get away with things that old-timers could squash you for. That was my theory, so I was feeling pretty excited in 5th grade, since I was the rookie teacher, a guy named Mr. Terupt. Right away, I put him to the test. If the bathroom pass is free, all you have to do is take it and go. This year, the bathrooms were right across the hall. It's always been an easy way to get out of doing work. I can be really sneaky with that. I take the pass all the time, and the teachers never notice. And like I said, Mr. Terupt was a rookie, so I knew he wasn't going to catch me. Once you're in the bathroom, it's mess around time. All the other teachers on the floor are women, so you don't have to worry about them barging in on you. Grab the bars on the stalls and swing. Try to touch your toes to the ceiling. Swing really hard. If someone else is in the stall, it's really funny to swing and kick his door in, especially if it's a younger kid. If you scare him bad enough, he might even pee on himself a little. That's pretty funny. Or if your buddy's using the urinal, you can push him from behind and flush it at the same time. Then he might get a little bit wet. That's pretty funny too. Some kids like to plug the toilets with big wads of toilet paper, but I don't suggest you do that one because that one you get in big trouble for. My older brother told me his friend got caught and he had to scrub the toilet with a toothbrush. He said the principal made him brush his teeth with that toothbrush afterwards too. Mrs. Williams, she's tough, but I don't think she'd give that kind of punishment, and I don't want to find out either. When I came back into the classroom after my 4th or 5th trip, Mr. Terupt looked at me and said, "Oh boy, Peter, I'm going to have to call you Mr. Peabody, or better yet, Peter the Peer. You do more peeing than a dog walking a mile around the fire hydrants." Everybody laughed. I was wrong. He had noticed. And I sat down. And then Mr. Terupt came over and he whispered in my ear, "My grandpa used to tell me to tie a knot in it." I didn't know what to do. My eyes got real big when he said that. I couldn't believe it. But that didn't matter. Mr. Terupt just went back to the front of the board and the math problem he was doing was now over. I sat there with my eyes really big. And soon a smile was on my face. "What did he say?" Marty asked. Marty's desk was next to mine. "Nothing," I said. Ben and Wendy leaned across their desk to hear. They sat right across from us. Our 4 desks made up a table number of 3. Mr. Terupt called us by table numbers. "Nothing," I said again. It was going to be our secret. How cool was Mr. Terupt? His reaction was better than being yelled at like the old farts would have done. Some kids in my class would have cried, but not me. Somehow, I think Mr. Terupt knew I wouldn't. It was his way of letting me know that he knew what I was doing without making a huge stink about it. I like that about Mr. Terupt. He sure could be funny, and I'm a funny guy. This year was the first time in my life I started to think school was actually pretty cool. Chapter Jessica. The first day of the school, I was nervous, somewhat, but my sweaty palms and dry mouth syndrome stuck. This wasn't surprising. After all, I was coming to a brand new place. My mom and I had just moved all the way from Pacific Ocean all the way over to the Atlantic Ocean, over here to Connecticut. So it was my first day in Snow Hill School. My mom came to help me get settled in. We walked through the glass door in the beautiful entryway and stopped in the main office to ask directions. A red-haired woman who proved to be exceptional at multitasking greeted us with a smile and a slight nod. She did this while the phone rested on her ear and her shoulder, allowing her hands to scribble notes from a conversation she was having in her free ear with the brown lady standing next to her. We waited. My fingers dug hard into the cover of a book. "Hi, I'm Mrs. Williams, the principal," this brown-haired lady was saying. She looked serious, all decked out in her business suit. "Welcome to Snow Hill School. Can I help you with something?" "We're looking for Mr. Terupt's room," Mom said. "I'm Julie Whitman, and this is my daughter Jessica. We're brand new in town." "Oh, yes, it's a pleasure to meet both of you. Let me show you the way." Mrs. Williams led out of the office, and I glanced at the secretary one more time. She'd be a great character in one of Dad's plays, I thought. My dad directs small plays in California, where I still wanted to be. How are you today, Jessica? Miss Williams asked. I'm fine, I said, although that wasn't really true. We followed Mrs. Williams across the lobby and upstairs in search of the new fifth grade room. The hall smelled stuffy but clean, like they'd just been disinfected. I wondered if the custodians had done that on purpose to make a show of how clean their school was. I followed Mom down the blue speckled carpet and past the rows of red lockers, where some kids were already unloading their new supplies. I could feel all their eyes studying the new girl in the town. After the stairs came the whispers. My face burned. Here you are, Miss Williams said. This is your floor. There are 4 classrooms up here, all 5th grade, 2 on each side of the hall with the bathrooms right in the middle. Mrs. Williams pointed as she spoke. That's your classroom, she pointed again. Room 202. Have a good day. Thank you, Mom said, and I nodded. We walked into the classroom. The teacher looked up from his desk and smiled at us. The butterflies in my stomach fluttered as if it were a tilt-a-whirl. Good morning, I'm Mr. Terupt, the teacher said. As Mom and I walked in, he came right over to greet us. Good morning, Mom said. I'm Julie Reitman, and this is Jessica. I think she's a little bit nervous being a new student. My tongue felt so swollen that I couldn't talk. I settled down, returning Mr. Turup's smile. It was a friendly one. Well, this is my first day too, so I guess we'll try to figure this new thing out together, he said. My smile grew. Your seat's right over here at table 2. You're with Natalie, Tommy, and Ryan. Being near the windows should give you a good light for reading. That's a great book you have there, Jessica. I looked down at my book. A Wrinkle in Time. I rubbed my hand over the cover. I really like happy endings. Me too, said Mr. Terupt, and I'll do my best to give you a happy ending to this school year. I smiled again. I couldn't believe it. My teacher was new too, and he liked what I was reading. I don't know why, but somehow he made the butterflies disappear and my tongue shrink. Things were going to be okay. Chapter Luke. I like school. I'm good at it. I get A's. And so when Mr. Terupt announced our first math project, I was excited. Dollar words was crazy. Definitely not a worksheet problem like all the others I've been given. Not even close. We had to assume that the letter A was worth 1 cent, B worth 2 cents, and C 3 cents, and so on, making the letter Z worth 26 cents because it's the 26th letter in the alphabet. The challenge was to find words that equaled $1 when you added them up. Not 90 cents or $1.01, but $1 exactly. Mr. Terupt gave us time to get started. He wanted to make sure we understood the project, and he said he wondered how or who would be the first one to find a dollar word. I immediately made a database of all the letters and their corresponding values. A quick reference for me, and then I started putting down any word that came to mind that had some of the bigger letters in it. The word pretty was 104, walnut 91, Mr. 84. Then I thought, hey, wait, what if I had just added on S's? Misters equals 103. No, not a good strategy, but I was close. I figured this could still be a worthwhile strategy for some other words. So there I was, cranking out the words, trying to find the first dollar word. And what do you hear? Peter and Alexia. This is the 4th year Peter's been in my class and my 3rd time with Alexia. Peter's funny, but sometimes he gets to be too much. If he's concentrating on my work and he just wants to joke around, it annoys me. But I like him. He's fun, and he's no stranger to trouble. Alexia, on the other hand, is always involved in some type of girl war. That stuff I don't get. She loves to wear flashy clothes like dresses, skirts, fancy shoes. She always has accessories to go with them. And she says the word like way too much. Alexia isn't a stranger to trouble either. She and Peter are a good match. Peter elbowed Alexia, and then I heard him whisper to her. That's not even close to a dollar word, I thought. 53, Alexia said. Not good. Try again. Were they crazy? They were trying out rude words and giggling the whole time. I just knew they were going to get caught. That's not good either, Peter said. Maybe. What a butthead. As soon as I thought it, I knew it was a word worth calculating. Sure enough, butthead equaled 81. I tucked on the S. There wasn't just one butthead, but now there was 2 buttheads, which was a dollar word. I wasn't about to call out what I had found out when Peter beat me to it. I've got a word, he yelled. buttocks. He strutted to the board like he was the coolest thing since sliced bread and wrote it out for the class. Buttocks. He said again, Buttocks. Peter went to demonstrate how the word added up $1, but Mr. Terupt didn't interrupt, just as I was about to. The new girl did. Buttocks is also spelled with a K, Peter, Jessica said. Peter looked to Mr. Terupt. Sorry, Peter, but she's right. Better try again, and maybe you should choose a different type of word than the ones you've been coming up with. Peter slunk back in his seat. No surprise to me, Mr. Terupt knew what Peter was up to the whole time. I raised my hand. Mr. Terupt, I've got one. I walked up to the word and wrote butthead. That was followed by a bunch of chorus of laughs. Butthead, I said. Butthead. It adds up to 81 cents. But if you have more than one, then we get butt heads. And butt heads is $1 word. Just ask Peter and Alexia. Mr. Terupt snickered. Well, that's enough, Luke. I must say that it isn't a word I was expecting, but nonetheless, it's our first $1 word. Congratulations. $1 word was the best math project ever. We started it on a Wednesday. Wednesday is also a $1 word. And worked for 3 weeks. Through trial and error, a few strategies, and that I learned along the way, some other helpful hints from Mr. Terupt. I broke the record for the most $1 words. My final poster was covered with $54 words. Mr. Terupt looked at my work and smiled. Luke, that is excellent. Excellent is a $1 word also. You are the $1 word champ. Alexia. I was like, I have this new guy for a teacher, and that's cool. Mr. Terupt was nice. He let us sit in tables, not rows. And I was like, no way, are you serious? And like, the best was I got to sit with my friend Danielle. There's this new girl in our class, Jessica. She wasn't at our table, but I needed to talk to her. I needed to tell her who she could be friends with and who she couldn't. She seemed like she could be pretty cool, even though she carried around a book like a teddy bear. I found her at recess. Outdoor recess is held behind the school. There's a big blacktop area with black basketball hoops and a hopscotch. There's playground equipment in another spot and a large field for running around playing sports like kickball or football. And then there's the gazebo, too, by the edge of the field. I found Jessica sitting alone on the steps of the gazebo. She was reading a book. I was like, God, what a loser. But I went up to her. Hey, I said. Hi, she said back. You're Jessica, right? Yes. I blew a bubble with my gum and sat down. I'm Alexia, I said. My friends call me Lexi. I found the compact mirror in my purse and checked my Rockstar purple lip gloss. Then I was like, where'd you come from? We moved from California, the new girl said. I used to live in California, too. Started playing with the stones that laid underneath my feet. It's always been easier for me to lie when I don't have to look at a person's eyes. We moved because, my dad got sick and needed a doctor here. Oh, I'm sorry, Jessica said. She started playing with stones now, too. Listen, I said, you're new here, so let me help you out a little bit, if you want, that is. Then I snapped my gum. Sure, okay. I stopped playing with the stones and scooted closer to her. You want a piece of gum? No thanks, she said. Of course not, little Miss Perfect. I went and put the gum back in my purse. That girl, I said, pointing to Danielle across the ground. You can't miss her. She's the fat one. I laughed, but Jessica did not. That's Danielle, and you better watch out for her. She's like somebody you don't want to be friends with. But don't you sit with her in class? I thought you were friends. I wasn't expecting this. Usually girls just listen and follow along. I blew a bubble and snapped my gum again. Yeah, she used to be cool, but she's been saying stuff about you already, calling you little Miss Goody Two-Shoes and a snotty bookworm. Jessica seemed a little bit surprised. Oh, okay. Well, thanks for letting me know. Don't worry, put my arm around her. Stick with me, and I'll, help you out with everything. It'll be great. Then recess ended, and that's how I got the girl war started. Jeffrey. Chapter Jeffrey. The kids in my class were all right. I have to deal with Alexia again, plus her feather boas, leopard print clothes, and her stupid purse. I wonder what kind of makeup she puts on this year. She's so dumb. She thinks she's a Hollywood star or something. And then there's Luke. I don't mind him. He's just smart and serious about school. Danielle's in my class. She's fat. Then there's Peter, a wise guy, total smart aleck. I wanted to tell Mr. Terupt that Peter spent all his time in the bathroom 'cause he likes to mess around. But Terupt figured it out, even if he was new. He seemed smart. I just didn't want him trying to figure me out. I'm no good at school, and school sucks. Chapter Danielle. School wasn't so great. My teacher was pretty nice, and he was funny too, but none of that matters when you don't have any friends. Luxia had done this stuff to me before. One day, she's my friend, the next day, she's not. I don't even know why. I'm not even mean to her. This year was the worst, though. Things started out fine, and then one day after recess, Lexi started ignoring me, pretending I wasn't there. She would talk about things right in front of me and leave me out of the conversation. She started telling stupid fat jokes about me. It was horrible, and I cried at home a lot. I am a little bit heavy. Well, bigger, I guess. I don't say that I'm fat, even though I know I am. I watch what I eat, and I don't have any more than the other girls do at lunch. Mom says I'll grow into my body. She's not fat, and neither is my brother Charlie or Grandma or Grandpa or Dad. Grandma says, "You've got some meat on your bones, girl." Yeah, Grandma, I think so. So someone like Lexi can tell fat jokes about me. I don't say anything, though. Grandma doesn't get it. Only Mom understands, and I feel a little bit better when she reassures me that I'll thin out when I grow. She also tells me that there must be a reason I'm having to deal with this. It's making you a better person, she says, and someday this experience will help you. That's all great, but I wish I could grow into my body now. We live on a farm. My mom grew up here. My grandma and grandpa lived in their own house next to ours. They helped us run the farm, so my grandma's around a lot, and she wanted to know what was wrong with me, why I was crying. Anytime I mentioned Lexi, she'd get all mad. "I'm going to that school and I'm going to fix that girl," she'd say. "No, Grandma, please." "Why are you even friends with her? She doesn't know how to treat people well, especially a friend." "It's not her fault, Grandma. It's the new girl's fault," I said, sticking up for Lexi the way I always do. "A new girl that I can't stand." "If you keep telling yourself that, it won't get any better," Grandma said. She's a tough woman. The next time, and the only time I've got friends is when I'm in Lexi's group. Nobody wants to be friends with the fat kid. I don't know what to do. Grandma said a prayer for me that night. We knelt by my bed. "Dear God, please give Danielle the strength to stand up to those mean girls at school, or do what you do to teach Alexia a lesson. If you make her fat, that would be all right with me." I elbowed Grandma. "Oh, okay," she said. "And God, I just ask that you provide Danielle with some comfort and direction during these tough times. We pray for good weather to hold up and for the farm. Amen." Chapter Anna. I didn't say much in school. I never raised my hand. That would have been way too easy for people to notice me. And I didn't want to be noticed. People can be real mean. That's something Mom wanted me to warn me about. And my mom knows me. Trust me. I don't have any close friends, and I wasn't looking for any. Mom was my best friend. Not getting noticed was never a problem to me before. I was always quiet and I behaved, so the teachers left me alone. I kept my head down and looked at the floor a lot. I'm a good observer. Mrs. Williams, our principal, winks whenever there's something big coming. It's something I noticed a few years ago. If she kept quiet, you have time to look, listen, and take things in. At the beginning of the year, the first thing you pay attention to is our classroom. We have a nice room, a big one. There was a whole wall of windows opposite the door. Mr. Terupt's desk was in the corner of those windows. The students' desks were arranged in 5 tables of 4. So, right away, I knew we had a teacher who was into teamwork and didn't mind a little bit of talking. Otherwise, we would have had the old-fashioned rows. The front of the room had the blackboard, and the back wall had a whiteboard. This last side of the room had all of our cabinets, a sink, and a drinking fountain. Most of the room was carpeted except for the side of the sink and a fountain. Our door was next to the fountain. The bigger thing you pay attention to in the beginning is your teacher, especially if he's like Mr. Terupt. Right away, I could tell that he was a reader because there were books everywhere in our room. Mom liked that when I told her. Mom is a library assistant in another school. It's a good job, and she has the same schedule I do. It allows her to take some classes at night. She's studying for art, something she missed out on when she was younger. She's really good at drawing and painting. Mr. Terupt was young and athletic looking. He didn't have any pictures around his desk, and he did not wear a wedding ring. Miss Newberry, across from the hall, didn't have a wedding ring either. Neither did my mom. Mr. Terupt turned out to be different. He noticed me on the first day, and it didn't matter that I wasn't raising my hand because he would say, Anna, get ready. I'm going to call on you next. Or if we were talking about something, there wasn't just an opinion. He would say, Anna, what do you think? He wasn't going to tell me to hide all year. This made me nervous, but it turned out to be a good thing in the end.